How did your dad get into the bottling business?
My dad got into the bottling business because in the Depression, well, before the Depression, he had acquired a basket making factory. They made floral baskets for the florist in the United States, and baskets by Shercliffe. And so these, in this little plant, they'd send carloads, train carloads of baskets out to the West Coast, to the East Coast, Chicago, different places. And so he was in that basket business. But during the Depression, florists didn't pay their bills. And he was sending out baskets and no money was coming back. And he didn't like that very well. So we were on a family vacation up in, on the Great Lakes, and we landed on this boat in Detroit. And as we were getting off the boat and getting into our car, we stopped at a service station. And when we stopped at the service station, I came running out with a great big bottle of Pepsi Cola. And he said, "What is that? How much did that cost? That's a big bottle." And I said, "It only cost a nickel." And he said, "That's a pretty good deal." And so we all tasted it and we liked it a lot. And the man at the service station says it sells like crazy. So that was good. And so driving down the street in Detroit, he saw a big bottling plant that said Pepsi Cola on the outside. He said, "I'm going in there and talk to that man." So he pulled in, and the man that owned the plant was gracious and hospitable, and he said, and met my dad. My dad took me with him every place. I was only about, 8 years, 10 years old, and he took me with him every place. And that was how I grew up, following my dad around, learning a lot from him. But he took me into this man's office, Mr. Carl Dawson's office, and he found out that it sold well, and that people paid cash for it, and it was a product they could all afford, and it sounded so much better than the floor display business. Mm. He said, maybe I could get into that. And Mr. Dawson saw to it that we got into the bottling business in southern Indiana. So that's how it happened. It was a product of the Depression, and it sold well. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I can remember our first truck. I can remember the second truck. I can remember who drove them. I can remember the stores they went to. So that was a long time ago. Wow. That was in the 30s, 1936, 38.
Wow. And you stayed in the business? Stayed
in the business. Yes, and after we sold our family bottling business, I stayed on in the industry for a while, and then when I retired, by that time I'd been involved in more buy and sell agreements between Pepsi Cola bottlers than anybody in the country. So I just said, well, I'll be here to manage mergers and acquisitions in the industry, because I could see it was happening. So I started my little firm. Before long, it wasn't so little anymore, and I had my second career in mergers and acquisitions, primarily of Pepsi Cola bottling companies. And so with my associates, my friends that were in the business, that I bought into the business, we ended up selling hundreds of Pepsi Cola bottling plants across the country, finding buyers and sellers and putting them together, and also consulting and helping people develop their business so that they would be worth more at the time they wanted to sell. We were pretty good at marketing and pretty good at accounting, pretty good at operations, and we knew how to make things more valuable. So that was really, and people trusted us. God, the most important thing was when people called us and talked to us about their business, they knew they were talking to somebody they could trust. We never told anybody who we were working for. We were just quiet people, sort of under the radar, doing good things for our clients. And it was a lot of fun. Wow. Took us all over the country. I've been in every state. We did some work in Mexico, a lot of work in Canada. Wow. And then I sold that business to my partners. And Richard Sosiski, probably. He's here in the city. He's a good friend, just a wonderful young man. He's got the Shercliffe Sosiski Company today, and I think of course, I'm very proud of what he does.